For many years, adventurers and marine archaeologists have used the most advanced technologies to reach new depths, often risking their own life while trying to find treasures underwater. The idea that there are many treasures hidden at the bottom of the oceans is true, since many people have proven that by discovering some quite valuable treasures. But it's not that simple. Underwater detecting is one of the most difficult metal detecting activities, and most people need great equipment and skills. Having skills and good equipment does not guarantee that you'll succeed, so many treasures remain undiscovered. But that's not the case with this diving robot that found $22 billion worth of sunken treasure. So let's dive into the amazing story. Number 10. Underwater Metal Detector. Many divers are wondering what is the best underwater metal detector and what's the process of finding a treasure. So here are the factors. Let's talk about the main aspects of underwater treasure seeking. If you ever decide to question your luck, you'll definitely need more than luck, which means you'll have to get a proper location, salty or freshwater body of water. You'll need to pay attention to the depth of the reach and, of course, some great swimming skills. Also, you'll need to do a better investigation, but for now, let's discuss how this diving robot found the shocking $22 billion worth of treasure. Number 9. Salty and freshwater. It may surprise you, but water is very important when treasure hunting. Most of the underwater machines show a similar capacity to withstand water as the conditions. Salty water is different from fresh water because it's more difficult chemical composition. This can cause the detector to act as if it detected some objects, but it actually gives just a false alarm. The saltier the water, the more complicated treasure hunting you'll get to face. So if you ever decide to go treasure hunting, we hope we assisted you. Number 8. Shallow water. This kind of treasure was not found with a robot that only has a waterproof coil. Although this machine can haunt spots to swallow water, and it's also one of the most manageable devices. This is an option many people choose to use, since this way they can often spot jewelry on public beaches. We also need to mention that this way people can make great amounts of money, since jewelry is one of the most common things that can be found on shores. But this type of machine cannot be used for a treasure worth millions, since it cannot reach deeper than 1 foot. So even if you assume something is out there, you can't reach it. Also, if water spills on your detector higher than the coil, well, just say goodbye to it. Number 7. A 16th century invention. Spanish treasure fleets that crossed the Atlantic Ocean to the Americas and back were a 16th century significant invention. 70 years after Columbus's first journey, the fleet included several specific ships, with one main purpose: using the riches of the New World at its fullest potential. The San Jose was the most comprehensive ship and the flagship of one group of Spanish ships that began sailing in the 16th century. It was huge! Also, it had 62 bronze cannons carved with dolphins, dangerous enough to discourage or even damage ships and sometimes competing nations. But on June 8, 1708, throughout the War of the Spanish Succession, the San Jose's gunpowder inflamed in a battle with British ships, carrying 600 sailors to the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean. Something else went to the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean as well: a significant amount of gold, silver, and emeralds from Peru, with the total valuing of an amazing $22.5 billion in today's dollars. Number 6. Expensive maritime lose. Without a doubt, this is one of the most valuable maritime losses in history, and the fact that the holy grail of shipwrecks was undiscovered for more than 300 years is just surprising. Knowing the facts that there's definitely an unbelievably appreciated sunken treasure drove experts and divers crazy, so many people have tried to find it, and one day, it happened. Using a small submersible robot named Remos 6000, arranged with sensors and cameras and ready for diving 6.5 kilometers underwater, the place of the sunken ship was discovered. The underwater vehicle was operated by Woods Hole Oceanographic Institute, WHOI. The vehicle additionally has far-reaching sonar to recognize objects on the sea floor. Well, of course. Then this goes back to the pictures of anything that deserves to be looked at. Number 5. Secret information. The remains of the San Jose were found back in 2016. Interestingly enough, the place off the Colombian port town of Cartagena and other pieces of information have stayed secrets. But fortunately, the people who did the search, including the Colombian military that transported Remos 6000 to the search area, released some details. They shared that the things they found were actually not so far, only 9 meters above the wreck to be more precise. The robot took photos of the cannons. One of the engineers, Jeff Kelly, who ran the Remus 6000, said he was in the bunk when the first pictures was taken. "I'm not a marine archaeologist, but I know what a cannon looks like," he said to CBS News. "So at that moment, I guess I was the only person in the world who knew we'd found the shipwreck," he stated. The problem with sharing information about the discovery is that there's a dilemma about these precious metals and emeralds. Does this treasure belong to the people of Colombia or to the people of Spain? This is the main reason why the coordinates of the location have not been shared. Number 4, 10 feet depth. As we previously mentioned, the location of the cannons were discovered at only 9 feet of depth. Now, this is the choice of most people who use meteorologists, and they can sink the machine underwater to the depth of up to 10 feet. Use it for half an hour without ceasing. Of course, later, they need to take it out for a while. This choice is precise since it can reach deeper than need depth, but not having to care about destroying the control panel. Plus, if you suddenly get wet under the rain, nothing happens to the machine. Every treasure hunter knows that this is the most popular type because it provides a pretty long and deep underwater hunt. But back to reality, these devices are quite expensive, and not every person could actually afford to get one and go into the wild treasure hunting. Number 3, deep underwater detecting. You also have the deep underwater detecting devices which go more than 10 feet underwater. This is what experts use, and not every person knows how to use these kinds of devices since we'll need some major skills for it. Also, some good equipment and help to do that. But hey, it's not unlikely. You have the perfect example that, in fact, with a little effort, the mentioned underwater search brought discoveries that made the searchers famous. Number 2, historical significance. Before we continue with the San Jose discovery, if you ever decide to go for some treasure hunting, well, good luck. Take the precise machine, but keep in mind that it will probably take you lots of time since underwater search is some of the most complicated ones. Now, let's talk about how San Jose's discovery holds an amazing cultural and historical importance, especially for the Colombian government, since everything in the ship is a cultural and historical artifact. Plus, the clues they may provide about Europe's economic, social, and political climate in the early 18th century, the Colombian government plans to build a museum and world-class conservation laboratory to preserve and display the wreck's contents, including cannons, ceramics, and other artifacts, Hui explained, referring to the discovery. Also, the researchers at Woods Hole say they have no financial stake in the haul. Number 1, 1715 Treasure Fleet. On July 31st, 1715, a Spanish line of 11 ships packed with wealth sailed into a hurricane and sank off the coast of Florida. Does this sound familiar? Well, maybe you've watched the 2008 movie called Fool's Gold with Matthew McConaughey and Kate Hudson. The story is based on this treasure. However, years and years since the ship sank, Florida's Treasure Coast has been one of the most hunted treasures in the world. People never gave up. Interestingly though, $4.5 million were found on the same day of the sinking 300 years later. Some theories say that over half of the $400 million worth of treasure is not being discovered yet. Honorable mentions. Many of the world's amazing finds were discovered mostly because of luck. So guys, the next time you visit a beach, keep your eyes wide open. Here are a few honorable mentions. CAESAREA treasure. Just listen to this story. Man, some people are lucky. Members of a diving club found a treasure in the ancient harbor of Caesarea, Israel, back in 2015. The way the story goes is that they were just enjoying a scuba diving trip when they came across some gold coins and boom, they discovered more than 2,000 of them. Let's not forget that these coins were over 1,000 years old. The coins, the greatest gold treasure ever discovered in Israel, were later collected by the Israel Antiquities Authority. We'll let that sink in. The Titanic. We're all familiar with the story of how the unsinkable Titanic hit an iceberg on April 15, 1912, and sunk into the North Atlantic. What's interesting is that the precise location of the crash was unknown for over 70 years until 1985, when it was discovered by oceanographer Robert Ballard on the ocean floor 2.5 miles below the surface. And more Titanic secrets are still releasing. The newest information exposed that Ballard had a secret purpose. He was trying to find 2 sunken Cold War submarines when he found the sunken ship. That's the end of our video, guys. Would you ever go treasure hunting? Let us know in the comments section below. Make sure you like the video, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for more amazing videos such as this. Thanks for watching.